Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at Orcust Synchro Orcust. And if you're wondering what a synergy is, I guess it kind of revolves around machines, I guess. Longears you can shuffle back two machines, Galatea. It doesn't necessarily have to be an Orcust, it has to be a machine. So you can technically shuffle back Jet Synchrons, I guess. And also Jet Synchron just discards a card which Orcust likes their cards in their graveyard. And there are parts where the deck doesn't align, I guess, where if you after summoning a Rorodon you cannot link summon, so that is a problem. And another problem is that all the Orcust monsters do lock you into dark for the rest of the turn, which is another problem in this deck. So I honestly just made this up for fun. Do not expect to win an event with this. I just don't expect to win any form of tournament with this. I just like mustered this up because why not? But we have a Meh opening. We have Gearsu, which I guess is combo-ish thing, and we have Imperm and a Call by Grave for his effect veiler, and we have a Babel, so we can set a crescendo off our Galatea. So let's go straight to it. We're going to start off by normal summoning our Gearsu. We'll use his effect. He's going to chain effect wheeler, and I'll use Call by the Grave so it won't resolve. And then we will use the effect, and then we'll use Gearsu. We're going to get 2 tokens, and then Nightmare will be summoning stuff, and we'll use the effect of World Wand to summon back the Nightmare. And we're going to be summoning Galatea, and it'll just shuffle the World Wand back in the deck, just set a crescendo, and then we have the Babel in our hand anyways. Next we'll go into an Orcust, the Gearsu I mean, and if I had known I was playing against Sky Striker, I would have just left that token there. I really would have just left that token there. But I guess what are the chances we're up against Sky Striker? Yes, we are up against Sky Striker, unfortunately. So we're going to have to go into an IP, and since Babel makes everything a quick effect, we can use Orcust Nightmare to dump a... we technically have 2-3 disruptions. Nightmare can just go ahead and dump a Symbol Skeleton. Symbol Skeleton can summon Dingirsu, which will send a card they control to the graveyard. And then we can use IP to go into Nightmare Unicorn, or in this case we can also go for a Longearsu so that our Climax goes online, which I guess is better than a Nightmare Unicorn. So we're up against Sky Striker. They're going to fire off that Pot of Desires. We're going to chain the Nightmare. He's going to chain Shark Cannon because he's scared of that crescendo going online instantly, so he's targeting Galatea. But for now we'll just be sending Symbol Skeleton. He's going to activate Terraforming. Next, he's activating Multi-Roll. I don't really want that Multi-Roll to resolve, so I'm just going to be summoning Dingirsu. Because you know, Multi-Roll, I don't want it to resolve. Plus I know he had the Area 0 in his hand off that Terraforming, so I don't want his Area 0's other effect to resolve either. He's going to set 1, he's going to use the effect of Area 0. We're going to activate IP. We're going to go into a Longearsu, just an extra negate from now on. Next, he has a Shark Cannon. I negate that because I presume that he doesn't have any monsters in his hand, judging by the plays he had made earlier that turn. But it seems that he did have a monster in his hand. Otherwise, I believe he targeted my Dingirsu. I wasn't too bad with that. I have another copy in my extra deck anyways. He's going to go for a Hayate, and he's going to summon it. He's going to just attack me for 1500, but nope, Imperm will say no to that. And then he's going to go for a Kagari, and I'll be activating Longearsu. Just because since they're linked, I can just get rid of any one of them. And then he's just going to go for a Shizuku. He's going to be summoning the IP. And the reason why I had used Longearsu's effect was because I was scared of this very card, Zeke. I didn't want him to summon it, but unfortunately he did, which will just banish that until the end of my next turn. And then since an opponent's monster was in the extra monster zone was sent to the graveyard, he can summon back Rose. By the way, Scrap Recycler's Halqifibrax combo now, because he can dump Jet Synchron. We're going to use Jet Synchron. We'll get rid of the Despot 001. We're going to go into Halqifiber. Halqifibrax summons Jet Synchron, because we only run one copy of 001. We run summon Auroradon. Auraradan will be summoning 3 tokens. We'll summon 001. We're going to be summoning Olion. You should all know this by now. We go into a Savage Dragon. Chainlink 1 Savage, Chainlink 2 Olion. I should have gone Chainlink 1 Olion, Chainlink 2 Savage, just because it will protect me from Skullmeister, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't even have any cards in his hand. So we're gonna go for the Herald of the Arclight. We're gonna attack for 2550 and pass. And during our end phase, we'll just get back the Longirsu. I forgot that it only banishes until the end of my next turn, so I probably should have summoned one of these to my extra monster zone so that it forces him to summon a monster here, and I can just instantly send it to the graveyard with Longirsu. He top decks Afterburner, which will bait out my Savage Dragon negate, I guess. So I might as well do it. And then we're gonna be he's just gonna attack me directly. He's gonna activate the effect of Hayate, and I'm just gonna chain Arclight. Now, if you're one of those people who say, "Oh, why didn't you let that Hayate resolve? Anything that goes to the graveyard is banished." And no, only monsters that go to the graveyard are banished off Arclight. So pretty much he will get OTK'd here. We have the Orcust Climax, which lets me search in Dark Machine, but does lock me into Darks. We're going to use World Wand, we're going to summon him. We're going to be summoning Galatea. We're just going to do some cool plays. And we could end on a Girsu if we want. A Dingirsu if we want. I mean, of course, I'm not going to be sending that Area 0 to the graveyard. So pretty much just an OTK. Well, that wasn't an OTK, but it did put up a very resilient board and shows how some Jet Synchron plays can also help us make our board more resilient, something that Orcust can already do, and just Orcusts are pretty much more of a follow-up than a real plan. So we'll go for our second replay. And right here we are up against Chainburn. They open up 2 Just Desserts, 1 Reckless Greed, 1 Demise, and 1 Simachi. I'm going first, of course. We always prioritize our Jet Synchron combos over our Orcust combos. So I'm going to be doing stuff right here. We can summon more Jet Synchrons. That second Jet Synchron can act as a follow-up because, I mean, we don't really run another copy of Auroradon. Our extra deck is super tight, so we can't really run multiples of cards. The only multiples we run are 2 copies of Dingirsu and 2 copies of Galatea, but they're kind of necessary in terms of the Orcust. And then, yep, we just end on 2 negates. Technically 3 negates, I guess. But the Call by Grave won't really come up that often. I do not want him to just draw 3 for free, so we're just going to call Savage Dragon negated. We're going to normal summon a Recycler. Recycler dumps. It doesn't really dump. I forgot that Herald applies to me too. I thought it just applies to your opponent, but apparently it does not. He's gonna go ahead activate Reckless Greed. I don't want him to just draw 2 for free, so I'm gonna be activating my Savage negate. Next, he's going to go for a second Reckless Greed. I do not want that to resolve, so I'm just gonna activate my Arclight. I would have taken a lot more damage if he had Chain Strike right there. But pretty much all I'll be taking are the Just Desserts damage. Not that it's going to matter because he's going to take way more damage than I did. We're going to activate Foolish Burial. We dump the Nightmare, and then Nightmare can just go off from there. We summon stuff. We can go into Galatea, and then pretty much we can just send that set card to the graveyard after this. So during our opponent's turn, we have the ability to use Nightmare to summon something, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't think... Nope, I do not have any better card. So pretty much he top decks a Ceasefire, and most I'll deal me like not a lot of damage. I'll just negate it just because I can, and he will scoop. As you can see, this deck can put up some very threatening boards at the least. On top of that, the Orcust side can also is just as threatening. So once again, I'll just highlight the problem here again. There are cards that lock you in or out of other cards that the other engine might need. So please, just don't take this to a tournament. So we'll go to the deck list then. So for our deck, we have 2 copies of World Wand, 2 copies of World Wand, really just because the 2 copies does come in clutch sometimes. Maybe when we're not recycling it with Galatea, the second copy does come in handy. 3 copies of Orcust Nightmare. 3 copies is kind of standard, I guess. Not only is it target for orchestrated return, you can also send it to graveyard off something like Jet Synchron. Just a really great card in general. 1 copy of Scrap Golem, it's to summon off a Scrap Wyvern. 3 copies of Gearsu. Gearsu is a combo starter, just starts combos, you know, that's why it's called combo starter. On top of that, you can summon from the graveyard off Symbol Skeleton, which is also a really cool tech, I see. Well, it's not a tech, it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's really cool interaction. 1 copy of Dark Grapper and 1 copy of Armageddon Knight. Both of these are just more starters. They kind of act as another copy of Gearsu. Not really. You kind of just end on Ding Gearsu Pass, but still they're really great nonetheless. 2 copies of Symbol Skeleton. We only really run 2, kind of just the reason why we run 2 World Wand. We're either going to be shuffling this or the Symbol Skeleton. We don't worry about the Nightmare too much, but it does come up sometimes. 3 copies of Scrap Recycler. It just opens up a way better combo, ending on stuff like Buster Lock and stuff like that. I didn't get to show that off in those replays right there, sorry. 2 copies of Ash Blossom and 2 copies of Impermanence. Those are the hand drops we play. 2 copies of Olion. The reason I run 2 is 1 is kind of using a reward on combos, and the second as a follow-up for Scrap Recycler combos, as you saw right there. In that last replay, I was trying to send it to graveyard, but then Arclight just banished it. 1 copy of 001. It's not that bad if we draw it, because we can just discard it off Jet Synchron anyways, because Jet Synchro is the only method of Halqifibrax we're running in this deck. By the way, we run triple tuning, so we're kind of running 6 copies of Jet Synchron, 9 if you count the Scrap Recycler. It's just very oppressive. 1 copy of Dragon Buster, just for the Buster Lock, locking your opponent out of their extra decks, obviously great. 3 copies of Orchestrated Return, the extra draw power is super useful. 1 copy of Foolish Burial, it's kind of another starter, except you don't really use your normal summon. 3 copies of Tuning. Not only does it search a Synchro, it also just helps you dump the top card of your deck to graveyard, which can be super useful in the case if you send something like an Orcust Nightmare, but it can be absolutely disastrous if you send something like a Scrap Golem. 1 copy of World Legacy Succession. 1 is doesn't really matter if you draw it, you're either going to set it off lib or you're just going to straight up activate it. 3 copies of Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave just for the hand traps. Our combos are very fragile in this deck. 1 copy of Orchestrated Babel. Just the ability to play during your opponent's turn is very, very rude. And 1 copy of Orchestrated Crescendo. It's basically a Mechabat, doesn't destroy, it banishes the card, which can pass some very annoying floating effect. And on top of that, it can also search a except you also just get to search another Dark Machine from your deck, which is very useful, as you saw in that Sky Striker duel there, I believe. For extra deck, super duper tight. 1 copy of Savage Dragon, 1 copy of Arclight. Those are 2 synchros we play. We do not run VFD combo because it just takes too much extra deck space. 2 copies of Dingirsu, 1 copy of Longirsu, and 2 copies of Galatea. Those 2 Dingirsu is really just for the Galatea, and the 2 just does come up often, just as a follow up really, because Dingirsu is it's Dingirsu, you can't go wrong with it. It just sends stuff to the graveyard and is an excellent disruption if you have Babel and the Symbol Skeleton and this in your graveyard, which is super great. The Longirsu doesn't come up as often, but there is a combo that can end on this, the Dingirsu and the Union Carrier with Buster Lock, which is super great. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. You just make it with IP during your opponent's turn. 1 copy of Aurauradon. Auroradon just summons 3 tokens for Synchro. Apart, you know how it goes. The Auroradons. 1 copy of Lib. Lib is Lib, I guess. Lib is always great to have. Just sets a succession from your deck. On top of that, you can easily get the Legacy monster in graveyard, as we have numerous ways to get to it. Like we have, I believe, 8 ways. With the Scrap Recycler, Gearsu, the Dark Grapher, and the Armageddon Knight. We have 2 copies of Galatea. The 2 copies does come up often, as we do go to 2 of them. It can be destroyed by battle, so while it's linked, so you kind of want to summon stuff to zone points to, but it can recycle your banished machines, and it sets Orcust spells and traps, so it can set stuff like Babel and Babel and Crescendo are probably the main ones. Return comes up less often, really just here for the consistency, but you're usually just going to set Babel or Crescendo. 1 copy of Scrap Wyvern. Scrap Wyvern is always great, just a nutsy combo. On top of that, you can also pop your opponent's card while summoning Scrap Golem from your deck, which is pretty insane. 1 copy of Halqifibrax. This is Synchro Orcust. How do you expect the Halqifibrax not to be here? 1 copy of Union Carrier for Buster Lock. 1 copy of IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is great, you know, just summoning Nightmare Unicorn during your opponent's turn. And 1 copy of Linkaribo. It's kind of shared between using it for Gearsu and using it for Jet Synchron, but you can just get away with just playing 1. So that was the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. Do like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.